Hi everyone. So in this video, we're going to work through a Year 12 factor theorem question from the AS sample paper. So in this question, we have a function f of x, and this function is 4x cubed minus 12x squared plus 2x minus 6. So part A to the question says, use the factor theorem to show that x minus 3 is a factor of f of x. But just before we get into the video, I want to make you all aware about a web app that I have created. Now, this app that you see on the screen here is designed to predict the 2027 Edexcel A-level Maths topics that will come up in your 2027 exams. So now that the 2026 exams have finished, we now have access to those questions. So what I've done is I've analysed all of the questions from 2026 back to 2018, and also including the sample and the specimen Edexcel papers. And I've used that data to put together a model which will predict the topics for the 2027 exams. And if we just scroll down here, you will see how accurate this model that I'm using is. So if you do want to have access to the full predictions for the 2027 exams, and also have access to a web app which will generate mock exam papers based on these predictions, that is what you can get if you do sign up to this app. Just go to the link in the description of this video, and also you can get the link to this web app in my bio. Click that link, sign up. You can see on the top right of the page here, you can sign up. Sign up to the app and you'll be able to access all of these 2027 predictions. So hopefully we remember that if x minus a is a factor where a is a real number, then that means that f of a is 0. So that's our factor theorem. So what we need to do is we need to check that f of 3 is 0 to answer the question. So we're going to sub in 3 into our function. So this is 4 times 3 cubed minus 12 times 3 squared, and then plus 2 times 3 minus 6. So we've got 4 times 3 cubed, that's going to be 4 times 27. And then we have here 12 times 9, and then plus 6 minus 6. So obviously the 6 is there, just cancel out. Now we've got 4 times 27, and that would be 108. And then 12 times 9 is also going to be 108 as well. So this gives us 0. So therefore we can conclude that x minus 3 is a factor of f of x. Perfect. So that's part A to the question done. Just another quick interjection. If you are currently doing Edexcel A-level Maths and you feel that you're struggling or you're falling behind and you're not quite getting that grade that you need to get in order to get into university, or perhaps you're a parent watching this and you're worried about your child's progress, what you can do is you can head to my website. Now, my website is in my bio and also in the description of this video. Click onto the link, and you can watch a brief video about me and my background. You see this video on the screen here. In this video, I outline the style and the structure of my tuition. You can also read some of my reviews and testimonials from other parents and students who have worked with me on this website too. So if you feel like one-to-one tuition is something that would benefit you in order to get the grades that you need to get, then again, just head to this website. And what you can do is you can book a free 90-minute call with me. And in that call, we'll spend some time discussing you, your situation, your ambitions, what you want to achieve, the grade you want to get, and why you feel like you're struggling and why you feel like maybe tuition is the right path for you. And we'll also spend some time basically doing a free trial lesson where I will help you out for free with any particular topics or any particular areas of the syllabus that you know you need help with. And by the end of the call, we can then discuss whether one-to-one tuition is the right path for you to get you that grade you need to get. So once again, the link to my website is in the bio and in the description of this video. So now for part B, hence show that 3 is the only real root of the equation f of x equal to 0. Now we know from part A that x minus 3 is a factor. So what we can say is we can say that f of x, which is equal to 4x cubed minus 12x squared plus 2x minus 6, is certainly equal to x minus 3, because we know that x minus 3 is one of the factors. And then there's going to be some other factor here. And this other factor is going to be a quadratic factor, because if you have a linear factor like this there, multiplied by a quadratic factor, then that will give you a cubic function. So what we can do is we can call this quadratic factor ax squared plus bx plus c, where a, b, and c are constants to be determined. Now, what we can do to work out these constants is we can actually multiply a couple of these combinations in the two pairs of brackets together. So we know that x times ax squared is going to give us, of course, ax cubed, and that has to be equal to the 4x cubed there. So 4x cubed must be equal to ax cubed. So clearly that means that a must be 4. So straight away we know that a has to be 4. Now, what we can do next is we can look at the constants in both brackets. If we do minus 3 multiplied by c, that must be equal to the minus 6 there. So the minus 6 must be equal to minus 3 times c, so minus 3c. So therefore, clearly, c must be 2. So now we've got a and c. We just now need to work out what the b must be. We can either focus on the x squared term or the x term. It doesn't really matter. So what we can do is we can do x multiplied by the bx, and we can also do minus 3 multiplied by the ax squared. Both of those combinations give us an x squared term. So our x squared term in the function is minus 12x squared. So minus 12x squared must be equal to x multiplied by bx, and then plus the minus 3 multiplied by ax squared, but we know that a is 4, so this is 4x squared. Now, if we just scroll down a little bit here, so now we've got bx squared, and then minus 12x squared must be equal to minus 12x squared there. So what we can do now is add the minus 12x squared here to the other side, which then leaves us with 0 is equal to bx squared. So therefore, this means that b is, of course, going to be 0. So now we know that this function, f of x, and I'll try to fit this in down here, we know that the f of x must be equal to x minus 3 multiplied by 4x squared, and then 0x, we won't bother writing that down, and then plus a 2. So that is going to be our factorization. Now, the question said to show that x equals 3 is the only root of this equation, f of x equal to 0. So in other words, what that means is that this 4x squared plus 2, this quadratic factor, must have no real solutions. So the way we can check that is what we can do. We can set 4x squared plus 2 equal to 0. Now, if we try to solve this, so take away the 2 to the other side, divide by 4, we end up with x squared equal to minus 1 over 2. Now, when we solve this, we are going to have no real solutions. So x squared equals minus a half has no real solutions. Since when you square root a negative number, that would give you a complex number. So that's not a real solution. So therefore, this means that x equals 3 is the only root of f of x equal to 0. Now, of course, what you could also do as well with this quadratic factor is you could use the discriminant. So that's another technique you could do as well. You could use the discriminant and show that b squared minus 4ac is less than 0, which it would be the case in this case. And that means that therefore this quadratic factor has no real solution. So you could also do that as well. And just going back to my method here, well, I've kind of color coded the coefficients. This method is called comparing coefficients. You could also use long division as well. So you could also use your kind of long division method, your algebraic division method, to divide the polynomial. So you could also use polynomial division. I'll just write this down here. So alternative method would be polynomial division. Polynomial division. Now, hopefully this all makes sense, but if you do have any questions, do feel free to drop a comment below, but hopefully this was useful.